you saw, did you have a good night last night? That was not a clear unanimous yeah. It was like you had a very good night because you was probably tired by coming karaoke. I heard someone came in late last night. As long as you had a good night, we are good. We are happy. It seems okay. And there are probably a few sleeping somewhere, but that's quite okay. Normal, kind of normal. You had a good night. Yeah. He's got glasses on right now, so he couldn't get his contacts in. I had the same this morning, struggling with them. It's like that. So you may have noticed that we sort of removed the tables. We thought the tables were kind of a academic distance in between you and us, and so we moved them out so it's more amiable. I met someone this morning who said, last morning when we came, it was kind of like this, nodding. Do you even speak English, or should I try to change to Danish, or Faroese, or whatever? And then this afternoon, or late this yesterday afternoon, it was like, hi, how are you doing? So we're here as friends. We came as unknown, and we are friends now, so that's why we are sitting up here in this capacity. And I think Marco is, I have seen him, so he'll be here. Okay, I'm never worried. I need something. Anyway, good. We have something this morning. First of all, there's it says a 15-minute talk from a CEV representative. Well, that's me. It's my keynote, or whatever you want to call it. It started up as a keynote, but they're just observations on a topic. I'll bring up the topic in a short while. And then questions for the panel. I had to prepare some questions myself to make sure that we have enough. There's still time for you to write something down and slip them down on the note pile down there. The pile is about this high. Thank you. On the side. Okay, so my topic, talking freely, talking as a Northern European, talking from my background and from my perspective, is on parents. Parents in volleyball. Where are the parents in all this? How do we use them? How do we exploit them? How do we introduce them? How do we include them in the world of volleyball? And I've got 10 points. The first one, they've got titles, and we'll try to make some funny ones. And the first one is called "She Who Must Be Obeyed." I guess British people right now will probably reminisce to something called a guy called Rumpole. You know what I'm talking about? A few not. There's an old barrister, an old lawyer from London, and he was married to somebody who must be obeyed, the mother in the family. And I believe, honestly, that the most important parent out of a husband and a wife, a mother and a father in a family, to get the kids on board and to retain them in the sport is the mother. The father, he's got a whole bunch of other indifferent things to do normally. Play a bit of on the iPhone, going out to the car, making sure it shines, and as all men do, they will kick the wheel to see if it falls apart, this car. That's what men do, isn't it? Okay, well, Remco, he said no. He's going to elaborate on that a bit. What do you do then? Anyway, no, I believe the way to achieve that we have these kids on board in the volleyball arena is the mother. She is the one who will take all the major decisions in a kid's life in the first many years, including when they start in sports. It might be, though, that it's the dad who wants to get rid of the kid, as my dad did when I was 7. I got the kick in the butt, pardon my French, and was asked to go into athletics. He wanted to get rid of me, but it was my mother who, for the next 14 years, made sure that I loved athletics. And then I went 3 times a week, and then I ran, and sometimes I threw the javelin and such. But she was the one who was important to me. She was the one who made me. But then, of course, athletics is the sport of the lonely person. So I shifted into volleyball, where you meet more people, and I've been sticking with that ever since. But it was my parents who actually made me stick with sports. And the mother, I think, is an important person, the most important person out of parents to do these things. You might agree, you might disagree on this. These are, again, just my observations and my point of view on these things. And in a normal family, or in any family, you will always, of course, find the opposite, where the dad might be the most important, but on a general rule, always, if you are a coach, if you are a club leader in the board, always pick out the mom, find out where she is, and make sure that the first time she comes down to the club with a little kid and holding her and his hand, make sure that you have prepared a hot dog for her. It starts with a hot dog. When these kids come down with the mom knows no one. She's there, what is all this? There's a whole bunch of kids and coaches and adults running around, and somebody like Peter whistling, and you can't hear anything, and then she's all alone. And then it is very important that you have means in the club to receive these persons, this mom, maybe the dad, when they're coming, and give them a hot dog or something which makes them feel welcomed. It might be an apple, but a hot dog is just a good image for me to say, well, here we are, welcome. Make sure to include all the other parents who have already received a hot dog the previous day or the last year or the year before that. The third point, that was actually the second point with the hot dog. The third point is about nursing. Now they're on the topic of being a mom, and moms and mothers, women, they usually nurse their kids, but we need to nurse the parents. We need to make sure that they are groomed. We need to make sure that they feel welcome. We need to make sure that they know about the sport. It's not enough to say thank you for the kid and kick them away again. Make sure they're still in the club, take part of the practice for quite a while. Make sure they even understand the sport. Let them also have skills in the sport. Let them make a family game, not a one-to-one, not a two-to-two, but maybe a game where you have kids and parents playing at the same. For one reason and for one reason only, to make sure that the mom and dad also know what it is that goes on within the kid. Not only kid to kid, but mom to kid, parent to kid, adult to kid. And if you can get the parents on board that, then you will slowly, over the years, achieve what my mom achieved with me in athletics. I came to not only love the sport, but I also came to the fact that it was grown in. It became part of my DNA. I did not want to leave sport. I had no reason for going out into the woods or becoming a criminal or doing something completely strange and crazy when I was a kid. I was basically doing this because my mom, she was a referee. She stood there, and whenever I did long jump and I did a bit, I don't know what it's called in English, but when I was not able to hit the plank correctly, she would said, nah, it's okay, Thomas, you made it, even though I did not. But she's basically what she told me in a positive way, yeah, you can do it again. So I wasn't punished by over-tramping. I don't know what it's called in English. What's it called? Northern Ireland, Scotland, please help me. What is it called if you're not hitting the plank in athletics correctly in long jump?
Not taking the off the table point.
Thank you. So now we know that. Right. So the influence that a mom, dad, a parent has on the kid is planting or getting this DNA into the kids, the way they do it. They want to, by themselves, to come 2, 3, even 4 times a week, even though they might be 11, 12, 13, 14 years. But then we have this very, very important transition phase in every young person when they hit the teens, when the hormones start to set in, when they find there's an opposite sex, when the first party is there, when they have to explain to their mom and dad, yeah, I came home at 10 and looking all over the place. No, they did not come home at 10 o'clock at all. No, they were not doing what they were told to. But that's the time that if the DNA in playing volleyball has been planted in them in a good way since they were kids, they won't do these things. They will maintain and retain in the sport of volleyball. Then there is another very important issue. What happens every time at the 1st of August? The seasonal change. That's when all the sports, the indoor sports starts. They do that in Denmark anyway. So if you as a club and a coach and other parents in a club do not succeed in the previous season, then after the summer holidays, they come back and they have to find out, do we choose the sport again or do we choose another sport? And they will always, as kids, look out after something more important. That's what kids are about. Children, they want to learn more. They want to exploit. They always want to go to the other side of the fence. Because if what's on this side of the fence is not funny, if what's this side of the fence is not good, they will try to look on the other side of the fence. So the 1st of August, these kids, they will choose, volleyball was not that good this year, so they will choose basketball. That is where you as parents, or parents, have a major role in making sure that the kids also have a good time in playing volleyball, in the practices, in the games, in whatever drills they have. They need to support the coaches in what the coaches are doing, and not like, and this is just, the average image and picture of a soccer dad standing on the sideline and shouting his lungs off, saying, "Kill him!" And that's what they do. We do not do that in volleyball. We are a polite, gentleman-like sport. I think, I hope. They should be in soccer as well, but sometimes they are not. So, but if we induce this kind of talking into the kids, they won't like our sport and they will look for another sport the year after. So every season change, 1st of August, if that's what happens in your countries, it is time to make sure that they still love the sport, and you will have no problems in continuing the next year and the next year. And suddenly they get to the teens, and rather than doing something completely peculiar, they will stay in our sport rather than drifting to non-sports activities or something else. I think it is feasible. I think it is possible to achieve this if you have the parents on board from day one. If you leave out the parents for the first many years in volleyball, you might fail miserably. I don't know how it is around Europe. I know how it is in Denmark. If a child is being sort of just delivered down there, nothing really happens and it's okay. And I tried many sports apart from athletics. I was this drifter every August because my mom at my teens sort of said, "Well, you're on your own now, Thomas." So I have been in handball, I have been in basketball and athletics and swimming and God knows what before. And that was all within 2 seasons because I didn't like any of them. So my mom was not there. So I was on my own, so I had to try, as kids do. A very important point is to these kids, to these parents, is that everything starts in the club. You as club members, you as club representatives, coaches or leaders in the clubs, you need to know that you have to develop your club in order to receive the parents. You have to have schemes and drills and social activities to include the parents. Not only just being a parent, but you need that. So if you have a club which is basically driven towards one goal, to win the medal in the league every year and nothing else, you will one time down the road probably fail on getting new kids in because you forgot the parents. So I honestly believe that the club development towards the parents is as important as it is to develop the children and the youth and the teenagers into being fantastic and good volleyball players. And then I think it was Remco yesterday, he mentioned something good. I put a label on it. Volleyball is a garbage sport. It is the sport which is chosen last. They start off with soccer. And depending on the region, they always start off with soccer, we know that. And I don't know why it is. I've been doing this since 1970s. We always start by putting up soccer and football as our opponent and our adversary towards volleyball. But it is, of course, we know that. We have to realize that. But then what? In Denmark, we've got handball, we've got badminton, which is a world sport played by 5 or 6 countries in the world, but we still are world champions. But we have to compete against handball. We have to compete against soccer. And in one town in Denmark, we have to compete against underwater rugby. There you go. And then down the line, 4, 5, 6 comes volleyball. That has to change. Ladies and gentlemen, this has to change. Volleyball has to come number 2, because I don't believe it is conceivably feasible that we will ever beat soccer. If we do, I will throw in a big bottle of whiskey and a big party, and I will, of course, never have to pay for that, because it will not be done. But we are a garbage sport. Okay, we have to realize this. But if you can get the parents on board, on top of the kids and on top of everyone else, maybe even the media, then we have another argument for not being a garbage sport, because you can go out to the parents very early in a kid's life saying, do you know why volleyball is such a good sport? And then this is where we consult Christoph and Marco and Peter and Remco, because these guys can tell us exactly why is volleyball such a good sport for your child, for a whole range of reasons on which we all agree in here. Of course we do. We're volleyball nerds. We are aficionados in the sport. But we have to give the arguments to another normally unknown group, the parents. 2 more points. Or maybe only one. I think I covered one of the other ones. Inclusion is not enough, or is it? Is it enough to just include parents and saying, welcome, here's a hot dog, and we have these activities, we have some outings and some picnics, and please participate, and so on? No. I think it is also important that, apart from, nursing these parents, demand something from them. They have to chip in on their own worth. They have to make sure that they actively participate in club life as much as they can do, because parents have a very important task in their life, earning money for the family, for the house, for the apartment, for the car, the 2 cars, or whatever. So, but you still have to make sure that they are given tasks and jobs in the club. It is important, otherwise you will lose them. They might be linesmen in a match. They might have to be the ones serving the hot dogs for the new parents, or serving hot dogs for all the spectators. In Denmark, usually between 5 and 10 in any match. But they still need to be nursed, the spectators. And that is what you can do for the parents. Well, that sort of ends it for me for the time being. So it has been a long time... what's that called, whims of mine, that we have forgotten the parents. We know parents are important, but how much do we actually do about it? When do we actively go and include the parents? I think it's very, very, very important that we all realize this. And I can see it when I travel around Europe and see the school project. The parents are there, but they're not active. They are there, but you do not activate them. You give them maybe one or two, they sort of are part of a drill, but the rest of the parents, they sit on the stands while their kids are practicing with their smartphones. I saw that in the Faroe Islands. There were lots of active parents, but most of them, they were like with their smartphones playing. One of them, they played Word Feud against one another. I saw that. If you know what Word Feud is, just an app. But they do these things. But parents, active them, please. You will benefit from it. Volleyball will benefit from it. Not now, not the next year, but 10 years from now. It's a long, long haul to get the parents on board. And if we can do it before soccer, basketball, handball, swimming does it, then we win. Thank you. Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course you may. And usually I'm supposed to ask questions to anybody else, but if you have any questions or comments, I will gladly answer them.
About parents. The parents of our kids, they're coaching always the games. They change it every week, so all the parents are coaching. We've also a parents-kids training, so the kids is coming to the training with his parents, and we're going to play volleyball. With 800 members, but we've also 250 volunteers by our club, and that 250 volunteers that are the parents. So it's also important to ask the parents that they want to do something in your club, maybe or your school. So that is very important. We organize also a parent evening, so we can talk about volleyball, how it works, all the levels we explain at the moment. So there are a lot of activities for parents.
Okay, great. I was in America the last 2 Decembers. America yeah, it's not Europe. I'm sorry, I'm going to talk about something else, but it's volleyball is around the world. They have a coaches convention with a staggering 3,500 coaches at the same time for 4 days, in sometime in December, and it's quite good. My talks with all these different coaches revealed at least one thing to me, is that American coaches, in an American team there are about 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, 10 coaches. Sometimes it seems like there are more coaches than players. So he's coaching the libero and he is coaching but they all have contacts to the parents on a daily basis. They take, America is a big country, so they drive hours to go and visit the parents, to have a parent to talk with the parents about this and this kid. This is just how they do it. I don't necessarily agree or disagree with them. It's just an observation. But they do that for all sports. So it's kind of the American DNA. Just an idea, just a thought, just a talk, and some words on that. So, yeah. Anything else? Here you go. Good. Yeah, right. Any questions? Because if not, we are going to the panel discussion. Yeah, you got a question. Great.
Hi, Gio from Slovenia. I just have one question, because in Slovenia, the most clubs or sports like soccer try to get rid of the parents. They're making problems and coaching the children, and how do you solve that? Like in the mean, and then they try to take over.
It starts with a smile. It starts with making sure that you align with other human beings, that you can communicate, and you try to explain to the parents that their role is to support the children, otherwise it's going to damage the children, not only on a sports level, but probably also on other levels. And then you can do it more or less directly. You can be fairly blunt to some parents, and other parents will probably understand it directly. But you can say to them, stay off. This is not your turf. I'm not as a coach interfering in your work. You're going to work now and you have to sit behind a desk all day. You won't see me at your desk claiming what you're doing. But it starts with a smile. It starts with, you and I, we're doing it right now. And this is a good start. You can do that with any human being as long as you do it in a good way, so that way. And I'm a bit surprised that is what you just told me about, that they want to get rid of the parents. That is about the worst thing you can ever do, in my book.
But they are letting flyers and let us take care of your kid, trust us, we are the experts. It's politics against the parents.
Okay, I would do the complete opposite. I would make flyers saying we're all in it together.
Then I will start with a smile, but I have to disagree on the first point with you. I don't think it's the mother that decides which sport the children will take. I think they are friends that are very important. And then the mother wants, because I'm the mother, then just the mother just wants to get the kid what he really wants, and then it's supportive. But in the first people, I think it's their friends.
Yeah. Yeah, I get your point. Did you hear the question or the comment from way down in the back? Yeah. Good, perfect. Well, I get your point. My point is not as the mother should choose the sport. The mother should support. And since mothers often, I'm not saying everywhere, often are the support of a child, it comes from the mother's support itself. That was, I think, the main message I had. That was it. Not the sport itself. The child should choose the sport, not the parent. And I'm absolutely sure Peter, he wants to chip in now.
Yeah, just a little bit, because I'm for sure you're right. But when we are talking about quite young boys, 7, 6, 8 years, I think that the mother is very important. And when the children get older, I think you are perfectly right that the friends, they are coming into volleyball together because they want to be together with their friends.
Yeah, you may. Sure, of course. We're actually going into the questions that you asked. So we are starting with a parent question, which is basically how do you use parents in all of this, or include parents. So we are on the first question of the panel discussion.
About the parents, I think Peter is right. When a kid is very young, I think the parents make the decision of the kids going on volleyball or football. But I think also the father is very important, and not only the mother, because I think in the Netherlands both parents make the decisions, both parents talk with the kids, and then they play volleyball or basketball or field hockey in the Netherlands is also a big sport. So both parents are important, I think.
Good. All right.
Ma in Italia la decisione della pratica sportiva prima degli 8 anni, prima dei 9 anni, è assolutamente della famiglia.
In Italia do 8 let je dovoljeno, je samo odločitev cele familije, kako je šli. Pred 8 letom v klubu v Italiji ne grejo.
Però prima degli 8 anni.
Pred 8 letom.
In Italy, it's the decision of which sport the kid is going to take is when he gets 8 years old, because before that the clubs can't have the kids in their clubs.
And the consequence, each year, the kids change sport. But quando lo sport è quello definitivo, 9, 10, 11 anni, lo sport è scelto in base all'amicizia, in base ai compagni, in base a cose, oppure alla passione per quel determinato sport.
After the 8th year, the kids sometimes change their sport because they choose it regarding what their friends are, which sport their friends are having. But after 12 years, it's usually the sport that they stay in. That's it's all for the Italy.
Okay, first of all, good morning to you all. Very special good morning to my new friends in the back. The food was good, the scene was better. Okay, so in Belgium we have a project called Volley at School, and we start in first year, so 6 until 12. So it's not always the mother or the father who choose. Most of the time they are the friends, because when you go to school and you see, oh, I like volleyball, and we have a lot of my other friend from class, she wants to go to play volleyball, and my other friend, he also wants to play. So we have a little group of 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 kids from the same class who comes to play volleyball.
Okay. All right. Okay. So on for the other questions. We are in the middle of the panel discussion, or the beginning of the panel discussion. Here's one. What is the difference? I guess this one might be for Peter. What is the difference between 1.5 hour of tuition in school and 1.5 hour in a club?
Yeah. Okay. As you see yesterday in the sports hall, there was a big difference between what we was doing with kids, and Christoph and I has taken another way to do exercises. But let me explain. I think when we are going to the school, we have a target. The target is to get as much children to love volleyball, and then to get them into the clubs. That is one target. Another target is to educate the teachers so they can continue year after year to do volleyball in a proper way. So when we come in the Nordic country, we come 4 times in a school. We have to do a lot of things so that the children like volleyball and will come to our club, but also use it as an education for the teachers. That is how we are doing session in schools. But otherwise in the clubs, you must always have fun when you are doing volleyball, but you can do it more in a long-term way, so you can build up your training on other way. So I think that's the big difference. But also when you have club training, that's children who has chosen to go to volleyball. In the schools, you have all different kinds of boys and girls, so you have to motivate them.
Okay, as Peter said, we have a different way of exercise or a method during our visits in school. In Belgium, we have 50 minutes, so not 1 hour and a half, we have 50 minutes, and we try to educate them. And most of the time, unfortunately, the teacher says, oh, there's someone from volleyball, now I can do something else. So you're alone. The difference is, I want that children like volleyball. So you saw yesterday fun. I want them to have fun. In the practical session, they did something like spiking. They did something like diving. But I didn't say, now you must dive, 1, 2, 3, dive. No, that's not my way of working with children. So the idea is to create exercises so they do it without we always telling them, now you must do this, now you must do that.
In my point of view, I think when you're doing, as I say, a serve or underhand pass, it can also be funny. I don't think there's a misunderstanding that when you are doing some technical part of training, it can be funny too. So, and I also think that the children, they are, most of them have seen what volleyball is, so they are also expect. When I come to a school, the first they say, oh, let us smash. I will try, oh, what is the underarm pass? They like to do it. So the way that you are doing your training with technique, with funny exercises, is for me also a good motivation for coming into a club and into volleyball.
Right. Yeah. Okay, I've got another one here. In every game format, there's space to be exploited. Proper meaning, but explaining the word exploited, there's physical space on the court in a 2-2, 3-3. There's always, somewhere on this court, no matter how big it is, that is unused. So how do we use this space? From that, the question is, how do you bring tactics into a small game? Where does the tactics come in a 1-to-1, 2-2, and 3-3 with all the space they have? Or are they just running around like hens? That last one was on me.
First of all, they have to play the game. Because before tactics, they have to play the game. If they don't know the game, if you play it 2 versus 2 and they don't know how to play it, why will we bring tactics in it? When we learn to spike, why do we have to take the spike long, short? That's a big difference. So first of all, they have to learn the game, and then in the next phase, we can bring tactics in it.
Ma in Italia introduciamo il pensiero tattico fin dall'inizio, in ogni momento del percorso. In each moment we have a tactical thinking. La domanda che facciamo frequentemente al bambino è: cosa può fare il tuo avversario in questa situazione?
In Italy, they start to teach tactics to the kids right at the beginning. The most common question that they pose to the children is, what do you think your opponent can do in certain situation?
È per questo motivo che iniziamo con tutti i giochi che prevedono che danno grande importanza al movimento degli arti inferiori. Giochi di movimento che danno importanza agli arti inferiori.
The really important thing is how the kids move their feet, so this is the base where they start with the movement of the feet.
È l'unico modo che abbiamo per aumentare lo spazio che ogni bambino, ogni ragazzo, ogni ragazza che cresce e che riesce a gestire per la difesa, per la ricezione.
This is the only way to improve their movement. This is the only way that they can cover more space on the court.
I think, as we heard from Christoph, that when they're playing the game 2 against 2, 1 against 1, 3 against 3, I think we don't learn them the tactic. It's come by time when they get elder. They see they're losing point. How are they losing point? Is that because we are always playing to the opponent? So I think that's a good way that they learn it by seeing what others doing. So they are thinking in a tactical way like this.
Yep. Have we got a microphone?
It's John again. It was me that asked that question.
Yeah.
When I've seen people trying to teach volleyball with an overhand pass, one on either side of the net, and the rally goes on for 10 minutes. They're just banging the ball back and forward. For me, kids are not learning anything. So when you bring in a tactic, it's about decision making. So if I'm playing 1 against 1, and it was interesting that you said the negative thing about how you lose a point. Surely it's how do you win the point? Because the kids have got to know the object of the game is to play the ball over the net in such a way that it can't be returned. Football, you have to kick the ball or header the ball, play the ball into the goal or just stuck it in with your hand. They need to know the object of the game. So if you just keep banging the ball back and forward, there's no fun there. It's about finding spaces and exploiting the spaces. That brings a smile to their face because they're winning points.
It's one of the other questions that John has is on exactly that topic. I'll just leave it right now for tactics, exclusively, and then bring up the punishment reward part question afterwards. Is that okay, John? Okay, great.
You can create exercise or games to create tactics. For example, when you play 1 versus 1 and you make the court really small and really long, so you can play short and longer. So in this way you create tactics. But the tactics in general competition, that's another thing. But the tactics creating during the sessions, you can do that by adjusting the net height, by adjusting the court size, etc.
Yeah, but usually in panel discussions you should leave it like statements, and you can judge. I would dare make one thing on a kind of a conclusion on this one, is that tactics is a mental process, really a mental process, and it is growing slowly and gradually as the kids and the young ones start to play. So over the years. Okay. One question that was asked by several is about technique. There are different ways of putting the question, but somebody says that we didn't talk so much or not at all about techniques. Someone else said that only Peter gave some technical info. When do you start to include the actual technique in the practice session? So this one is for all of you. Going from what you have shown so far, when does technique become more important or as important as it should be? Eventually it will be a lot of technique, but the techniques in all the work we've seen, where is it?
From one end to the
technique we start around 10, 11 years old. Before that, when they do something really, really wrong, then I try to change it. But techniques really, we start 10, 11 years old. And then we start also with real volleyball.
The question is, what is technique? So yesterday you saw something called ball handling. You have to put one arm and you have to control the ball, or you have to put one hand, you have to control the ball. For me, this is already a form of technique. It's not fun. Now we're gonna play. We're gonna set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did it when I started playing volleyball in 1982. So now in modern volleyball, it's another way of living, another way of playing the ball, playing the game.
Christoph says that technique is different things. I'm totally agree with you, but technique can also be, you have to show the children how underhand pass could look like. And there's a difference between showing and trying to do technical things and to do it for 1 hour doing underhand pass. So I think that is, for me, in Denmark and the Faroe Islands, the way we are doing it, we are using techniques, but it's not fill a lot of our training, but we show how it could look, and the children do their own things to learn. But we have some simple keywords: hands high, thumbs between your forehead, and so on. And that's the only technique we are doing. But we like to do it and like to show that is also volleyball, and it can be fun.
I think technique and tactic live together. And when start, dividiamo l'allenamento in una situazione quando abbiamo la palla e quando la palla è in mano all'avversario. Quindi prima chiediamo un comportamento specifico. Chi ha la palla si domanda come può realizzare il punto. Chi non ha la palla si domanda come può evitare di subire il punto. Poi la tecnica si inserisce come mezzo per realizzare l'obiettivo.
In Italy, it's important to divide the situations when your team has a ball and when the ball is in the possession of the opponent. The coaches say the one who has the ball needs to think how to earn a point, and the team that doesn't have a ball needs to foresee how to avoid the ball falls in their court. So the technique is used as a goal to reach all of the before. So the main point is how to get the point and how to avoid the ball fall in your court.
In questo modo riusciamo molto rapidamente a far capire al bambino che un movimento e la scelta di un movimento tecnico corretto è meglio di un movimento non corretto.
In this way, you can easily explain the child how important it is that the movement is right. So the difference between the right movement and the wrong movement is in winning a point.
In questo modo non corriamo il rischio che la tecnica diventi l'obiettivo del gioco, perché l'obiettivo del gioco è comunque il confronto con la squadra avversaria.
In this way, we focus that the tactics is not the main goal of the practice, because the most important is how to face the other team.
Yeah. Okay. I remember my old coach, he said, if you can get the ball from point A to point B accurately, I don't care about your technique. Just throwing in a comment. I was never good. A question, how is the transition from kids volley to normal volleyball? And it goes basically to everyone again. When do they, is it only an age issue? Because they're old enough, then it's only normal volleyball? Or what's the transition?
I think we all struggle with that. For sure we do it in Denmark and in Faroe Islands. How can we get the children from playing 1 against 1, 2 against 2, kids volley, 4 against 4, to 6 against 6? Because first of all, there's a lot of children going out of the sport just precise in that age. But we try to do it like that. Children who are now have played a lot of volleyball, they say we have to go to 6 against 6, and that's perfect if they can handle it. We have a system called team volley, and team volley is built on the same system as 2 against 2, 3 against 3, 1 against 1, where children, where the youngsters who are not as good that they can handle 6 against 6, they still play the small tournaments up till they are actually 16 years, and then they slowly can get into normal 6 against 6 teams, because for us 6 against 6 that is volleyball at that age.
In Belgium we're doing or we're preparing something like Peter says. So you have the children who plays 2-2, 3-3, 4-4 and 6-6, but we also have players they don't have the skills, or they don't have enough skills to play the regular competition. So for them we are trying, or we're preparing to organize some tournaments for maybe 3-3, maybe 6-6, but with different levels, so they can play also 6 versus 6. We hope that it will be okay, but we will see. But because we are already, we are still preparing it.
By us in the Netherlands, the kids plays 4 against 4, almost the same way as in Denmark, because that's a rule of our association. And when they are 11, 12 years old, they play 6 against 6. So that are the rules. Are they good? I don't think so, because I think it's better to play first of all 1-to-1 and then 2 against 2, and after that, maybe when they are a little bit older, 30 years, then 4 against 4, and when they old enough, maybe 60 years, then 6 against 6. But we have rules in Holland, so they play 4 against 4, and after that 6 against 6.
Isn't it kind of a judgment call often whether you want when you want to do this migration from kids to real volley? Let's just call it that. The individual person might be, one person might be more mature in his or her game and skills, so they would move up earlier than others, rather than a sort of a set. It goes 1-to-1, 2-to-2, 4-to-4, and then suddenly it's 6-to-6. So they don't do it at the same time, I guess.
You have a point there, but as we see it, children in that age, when are 12, 13, they like to play 6 against 6. You can say, oh, it's best for them to play 1 against 1 and they get better doing this and that, but actually they like it. So therefore I think it's okay. We have no problem, let them go into the field, try to play 6 against 6, because that can be funny for them, but because they also look what are the adults doing, what is that, and playing 1 against 1, 2 against 2, that for sure give better volleyball players, but the kids like to do real volley.
Il poter giocare in una pallavolo 6 contro 6 da parte di bambini anche più giovani non c'è nessun problema e dipende dalla capacità di muoversi nello spazio di gioco.
It's not a problem for children to play 6 against 6 if they understand the movement inside the court.
Il problema più grosso che devono risolvere i bambini è la gestione, nel passaggio alla pallavolo normale, è la gestione di uno spazio più grande.
The biggest problem for children to transmit from the children volleyball to playing volleyball 6 against 6 is the difference in the space they have to cover, because the court is bigger than they were used to.
E oltre allo spazio, il fatto di dover organizzare i compiti da svolgere nel gioco.
And besides of the bigger court, they have more players in the court and the roles are different. Now it's one setter, the other has other role in the team.
Per facilitare questo usiamo molti esercizi di gioco che con il campo, con una forma di campo particolare, con una forma di campo diversa, come ieri. Togliamo una zona del campo e questo ci permette di fare molta attenzione all'organizzazione nel resto del campo che rimane.
One way of training is that you limit their court, like you could see yesterday in the sports hall. So when they are gathered in a smaller place, they first do their roles and they can cover the bigger space.
Okay. At the end, so Peter told that the kids like playing 6-6. Beach volleyball is 2 versus 2, so they like it a lot. And next thing is also, what do they like about 6-6? Standing on the field. And I mean it literally. Standing on the field when you're not able to do this. So I know we have different levels to play 6-6, but we think it's important that when they're not ready to play 6-6, they won't have fun playing 6-6.
I totally agree when they're not ready, but when they are ready, then start play 6 against 6.
Then I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
Then I agree.
I think also there are a few kids, they like 6 against 6. In the past, when I was self a volleyball player, I liked 6-6, but only did 3 positions on the net. Behind the field, we have the libero at that moment, so I was also standing at position 1, at position 5, and also at 6. And 6 was the most horrible position in the field for me, because I standing there and all the balls coming behind me, and I standing there and I look. So I think 6-6, a few, maybe a lot of kids like it, but there are also kids, and I think that are new kids from this time, they like 2 against 2. We have also an example in our competition in the first division. There is a team of 10 players that are all beach players, that are couples. And we think at that moment, that's not possible that they play inside with each other. And it's possible. And they became a champion in the 3rd division, in the 2nd division, and now in the 3rd division They are not champion, but it's possible. So I think there are a lot of balls, 6 against 6, 2 against 2, maybe 4 against 4. And at the end, you play 6 against 6, I know. But I think we live in a new time, so I think we must also look to 2 against 2. That's very important.
All right, progressing to some of the next questions. I can just briefly say that we have, despite my fears yesterday, there are too many questions. That's nice. So I won't be able to do them all. So I will be the judge of the relevant questions up here. So blame it on me if your questions is not being asked, and only me. And one for the staff. What's the time? Do we have an hour, mean a quarter of an hour now, or can we extend it for a bit in case we can extend it a bit? Thank you. I've got 2 questions which are related on one single word, the level progression, or how do we go to the next level? What triggers that we can go to the next level? They're not related as such except for progression. The first one goes, what are the main goals you want to achieve on each of the levels, 1-1, 2-2, 3 versus 3, and 4 versus 4? What indicates you to go one step further? When are these kids mature enough to do this?
It depends on the level. So, for example, in Belgium, level 1A, they have to catch and throw the ball. And for ourselves, not as a test, we think when they could catch the ball 7 over 10 times, that's for us to know, okay, we can start going to the next level. But it's not easy to define when which are the goals, which are the targets to go to a next level. So, but most of all, we think for an exercise 7 over 10 times.
Ma la differenza del giocare 1 contro 1, 2 contro 2, 3 contro 3 non è legata, non dipende dalla capacità del bambino, ma da che cosa vuole ottenere l'allenatore. Perché noi facciamo giocare 1 contro 1 se dobbiamo sviluppare il movimento del bambino nello spazio di gioco.
The difference between playing 1-on-1, 2-on-2 or 3 versus 3, it's not the capacity of the children, what he can achieve. It is how much the coach wants to get out of these children. We play 1 against 1 if we want to improve the movement.
Giochiamo 2 contro 2 per migliorare la collaborazione, per cercare la collaborazione nella costruzione del gioco d'attacco.
We play 2 against 2 when we want to improve the cooperation among players, to how to prepare the attack.
E usiamo il 3 contro 3 per insegnare l'anticipazione della situazione di gioco.
And we use 3 against 3 when we want the children to start anticipate the game.
E usiamo gli stessi concetti anche nell'allenamento di squadre di più alto livello, di più alta età, perché anche in squadre under 18 si usa questo tipo di gestione dell'allenamento di gioco.
We use the same means when we want to improve the certain aspects of the game, even with the older categories, for example, under 18 years.
Okay, good. Okay, next question is a bit more tricky. So you have to think a wee bit about it. It's directed to the 4 of them. This is a question about the drills we've seen. We've seen drills from all of them. They are more or less the same, very small variations. How would you, our 4 speakers, develop new drills? What is it that drives you to invent something that has not been seen before? How do we develop the game and the drills from your point of view? do we as coaches, or do you as coaches, need an extra education? Do you need to consult other coaches in order to achieve the ability to invent a new drill, something that makes sense? Is it something that you see from the kids, they getting bored because it's the same drill, or what happens? How do you develop new drills, and where do you want to go with it? So.
But we go to a CEV coach convention, and we see a lot of people. So a very nice example yesterday. I had a talk with Hazel, and we shared some information. I saw she had some materials. She said, "Oh, I know what you're doing, because in Norway there is a Belgium coach, and she works in the same way." So it is interesting for her, but it's also interesting for me.
First of all, I asked the kids if they can make a drill for me. It's very handy for me. But also I look to other sports. I look very many times to tennis, to badminton, to football. Sometimes I get the goal on my training, and I think you saw yesterday the picture, the girl who's hitting the ball in the goal. So I look many times to other sports, and I get some inspiration of them.
I think first of all, I try to have big eyes, big ears, and a little mouth. So just look, see from the surrounding what is going on. But also I think when I see a problem with a group of kids or a single kid, I think, how can I do something for him with some exercises? And then I start to create exercises who fits into the groups or to the kid. And then sometimes it feels that I can use it on other kids. So that's why for me exercise can be developed. But also, as Rem could tell, look at other sports. They have brilliant exercises you can use in volleyball.
Ma la maggior parte delle situazioni usiamo gli stesse indicazioni che hanno dato i miei colleghi in questo momento. Tutte le indicazioni che hanno dato sono molto utili. Dalle esercitazioni pratiche che abbiamo visto ieri pomeriggio ho raccolto moltissimi spunti per un warm-up. Quindi vuol dire che questi appuntamenti sono preziosi per acquisire esperienze.
In the most situation, we use the same drills as the others, because as we saw yesterday, these drills can be really useful. We start with the completely regular drills, from which we get a lot of information, especially in the events like this, the CEV Coaches Convention. It's a great place to share the ideas.
Poi usiamo dei giochi per il miglioramento della tecnica e per il miglioramento del comportamento del giocatore in campo, ma questi spunti ce li dà la pallavolo, e quindi tutti questi progetti sono studiati in base a quello che suggerisce la pallavolo.
And to find the new drills, you always, your base is how to play volleyball. You look for the certain elements from the volleyball game and try to anticipate how the kids will easier understand the drills.
I told you that I'm also looking to other sports, and when you talk about technique, you can also look to other sports because softball or honkball, when you throw the ball, it's like hitting the ball. When you look to sumo wrestling, you know what I mean? The big, they're standing like this, and they're standing very stable. And when we defend balls, we stand also very stable at the moment. So maybe a little bit strange, but it's the same position. When you look to, and I don't know in English, schermen, you know, fighting with a sword on Olympic Games?
Fencing.
Fencing, that was okay translated. So they're standing like this, and when they're going behind, they go like this. And when they're going at the forwards, they're doing like this. And we are volleyball trainers, and we said, when you go behind, you must like this, and we going forwards, we do like this. And by fencing, they do it like this. So why we don't use also this position, not the whole end, but only the last 2 steps. So that also techniques, you can also get it from other sports.
Well, I'm going to be, I get you, I agree. Okay? Before this sentence. In fencing, doing that, the aim is to kill people. We don't do that in volleyball. Well, on the, sorry, it just came to my mind that fencing is something completely and entirely different. Going back to John's from before, it's kind of on the philosophical side of questions is that when do we reward or when do we punish for what is being done? We had the debate yesterday, we saw some of Peter's drills, and you brought it up now. So the thing is that when is punishment, I would rephrase it a bit. Is punishment, quote unquote, okay, or is it not? When does it benefit or when doesn't it benefit? Because a reward usually always benefits. So I think it's mainly on punishment. Does it work, and in what way? And I know exactly who to put the question to.
There you go, Peter.
Yeah, and the question must be, what is punishment? When you lose a point playing volleyball, you don't taking the ball, the opponent get a point. Then that's punish for you. You can see you're doing a mistake. In kids volley, we say, when you are doing a mistake, you go out of the court. That can be feel like punishment, but it's for me the same as giving a point to another. That's also a way of looking of coming in. But when we so you can see we are punishing the children. In our mind about playing kids volley will be in the next. Will we do it that you don't go out of the field, but instead you get points? That will be the decision that we will take the next month in Denmark, because I think you have a point of view. Why standing so much out of the field when you can be in the field? But there's also some other thing of coming in when you have to count 1, 2, 3. That can be really a success for the child who are standing alone on the court trying to catch the ball 3 times. And as when we play kids volley, normally the first going out maybe is the best, not the worst, because he's trying to do something very difficult. So on the court there's a little kid who can't do so much. He can be the hero because he catches the ball 3 times, and that's very successful. But I agree that can be a problem with our play kids volley. Is that punishment or what? I can for sure tell you the kid don't feel it as punishment at all.
We've got a question over here.
Sorry.
Oh, Marco first. Yeah. Okay. Sorry.
Ogni volta che l'azione del bambino, sia nell'esercizio di allenamento, sia nell'esercizio di gioco, è positiva, ritengo che ci sia sempre bisogno di un bravo. Se l'azione è negativa in un esercizio, la cosa che faccio più spesso è riproviamo. Se invece l'azione negativa nell'esercizio di gioco e nel gioco insieme ai compagni, a volte bisogna aiutare il bambino togliendolo dal campo perché magari la squadra...
No?
Ok.
Dirgli come va e
Esatto.
da ga ne kaznuješ tam, samo quando ko pride ven, mu poveš, zakaj je prišel ven in to čužeš, da gre nazaj.
If the child does something well, you need to congratulate him. But if something's not okay, you need to give him the impression that he needs just to try again, not to punish him, but give him another chance to do it better. If this happens during the match, you substitute him because you can't do it otherwise, but it's important that later you explain him why you took him out and that he gets the information how to do better next time.
Hi, I'm Eva from Slovenia, and I have a question about anxiety of kids, like when they're under pressure. I had like, I don't know, kids that are really trying and they're really good, they're at really good level because they want to and I help them, but then comes a mistake and these days kids are really like disappointed and the world is getting down, everything is crushing, everything is wrong, and they're like start to cry. They end up, they don't play anymore, and they're just stuck to cry. No one's putting pressure on the kids. I think they're doing this to themselves. I don't know, how are your experiences? Because this is the only thing I don't know how to deal with.
I'm going to, even though I'm not on the expert panel, I used to be a coach on top level. And going back to my initial on parents, I would maybe try to look at the relationship between parents and kids. It is often from home, how they're brought up, and that might be a good idea. It's not volleyball related at all often. Yeah, I think it's just a personal observation being in sports for that many years, that often you will find these anxiety and fear of things, not because of the sport they're in, but because of other factors. As you said from Slovenia, they're now trying to get the parents completely out of it. You'll get more kids with anxiety attacks. Sorry for the word. Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
It's a little bit changing the mindset. So when we play 2 versus 2, and for example, a child tries to hit the ball, and we know it's a learning process, and she hits the ball 3 meters outside the court. I said, well done. So, and the parents, what do they say? Oh, it was outside, I don't care. So when a kid comes home, after a game, the first thing the parents ask, did you win? It's not important. First thing to ask is, did you have fun? And then the second thing is, in football, in soccer, first I ask, did you win? And how many goals did you score? It's changing the mindset.
Maybe also interesting, and that's in Norway, I understand. They play not a real competition anymore. They play against each other. I don't know, without points, I don't know, but there is no number 1, number 2, number 3 anymore. Maybe the one from Norway, that's you. Is that right? Because Matt van Wezel told me, he was the head coach. Also by other sports, they don't play with...
I've seen it more in the other sports, and for volleyball they have kids tournaments where everyone gets a medal, and it's I saw yesterday with Peter's drills where they go out if they make a mistake, but for our teams it's rotational in order. So someone has to go out and then another one comes in. It doesn't matter who made the mistake. It's everyone is rotating in and out of the courts in a set order. But we also have a kind of a campaign across all sports in Norway now towards parents where they it's kind of not a slogan, but they ask parents to say to their kids after a game, it was fun watching you play. It was it's not about, or did you win, or telling them how they did in the game or not, but just don't talk to them about tactics and how they did in the game. Just say, it was fun watching you. That's a big target for all of Sports Norway right now.
Yeah, we've also now in discussion in Holland that we must play without competition, also in volleyball, but also in football. So that's very difficult, but I think what she said is right, and also what Christoph said, asked the child if it was nice, if it was fun, but it's difficult. Yeah.
So in Switzerland, even in football, in the youngest categories, there are no rankings anymore. So, but that don't change the complete mindset of the parents. And when we play kids volley, so under 11, until under 11, we don't have a ranking either. So we count the points in the game, but at the end, the kids knows, okay, we won three matches and we lost 2, but it's no ranking. And in my region, every kid was participating at least one tournament, gets a medal at the end of the season. So that's quite interesting because the kids, they count, and the coach, he observes only his team. So how the opponent plays doesn't matter. And we are focused on the experiences the kids are doing in the tournament. So I can highly recommend that the points are not that important. That's a kind of a mental coaching process that we have good experiences with.
All right, so Martin.
Sorry, Thomas.
Yes, sure.
I'm going to again. It goes back to your point about the football stuff and Christoph saying, did you win? One of the problems with football is that all the feedback is negative. You should have hit the target. Why did you do that? So Christoph's point about the ball going over the net and 3 meters out is really important, because the object of the game is to hit the ball over the net. So the child has hit the ball over the net, and I'm with Christoph here. I don't care if it goes out the back. I would rather it went out the back than it went in the net. Because if it goes in the net, the opposition don't have to defend. If it goes over the net, then the opposition have a problem. And I think rather than telling somebody, you should have done, why did you do that, you missed the target, maybe you should say, next time loosen your forearm, next time think a bit more, slow down a bit, this sort of stuff. Because it's not about winning, it's about playing well, and the enjoyment is from putting your practice into a game situation. That's what makes you happy, that's what gives you the confidence, so that you're not crying and you're berated because you make a mistake. Because everybody makes a mistake. I've made 3, and it's just part of life.
Well,
I missed a plane once. I got married. I ruined my volleyball career.
Radio John. Okay, we got one more question and then a little test, and then we are about to finish this convention. So the question is from Martin in Switzerland. Smash ball, smash volley, spike ball. Are these forms especially for the schools, or do you use the same forms also in the clubs? And if so if you say no, then the last part is irrelevant. If so, with which age group and in which phase of the development do you introduce these things? Entirely on my left.
Oh, start. Smash ball. We do it on school, but I don't do it by myself, but somebody else. But we play it on school. It's also easy to participate on school, so that's very handy. But we do it also on the club, and we do it also with tournaments. But it's a variant. It's not the game what we normally play, because on Saturday we play 4 against 4. But we have tournaments with smash ball and with basic volleyball or with beach volleyball also. And I think it helps the volleyball player to become a better player at the end.
In Belgium, most of the time it's in the schools, We also have big tournaments, but they are school tournaments. In the club, we use this during practice, and that's why you saw the different levels. Okay, minus, plus, but that's for practice. That's not for the tournaments. In the tournaments, you have 3 levels: level 1, 2, 3, finish. During the practice, we have level 1. For you, it's a little bit difficult. You have 1 minus, but you play 1. I play 1 minus. I will play against each other, and that's the whole idea.
In Italia usiamo lo spike ball sia nella scuola che all'interno dell'attività di un club, e inizia la pratica di questo gioco e inizia fin dal primo momento in cui i bambini entrano a far parte della squadra, o fin dall'inizio e in tutte e due. Iniziano nella scuola dal terzo anno della scuola più basso livello, no? Elementari, primaria. E invece nel club dal primo momento che iniziano la pratica della pallavolo.
So in Italy they use this kind of games like spike ball both in school and in volleyball clubs. They use it in school from the 3rd grade on, and in volleyball clubs straight from the beginning when kid becomes a member of the club.
All right, that was the last question. There were more, but the time being the limit. I have a little test thought of yesterday as well. We have a parent. We need to describe volleyball to this parent. Also someone who has no idea about the sport. They have never heard about volleyball because they have been doing something else in their lives. Without telling, without using words, without being vocal, how would you, in a sign or with a movement, show to them the most important skill, technique in volleyball? What is it that from a skill, from a sign, from a posture point of view, defines volleyball? Is it the spike? Is it the pass? Is it the set? What is it? A show of hands maybe. How many of you in here would show the spike as being, this is it, this is volleyball? Let's have a show of hands. The spike, yeah, the spike is the one that defines volleyball. Okay, good. How many would choose the pass? The underhand pass as the one defining volleyball as unique to any other sport? Do you understand the question? Right, okay. Only a few. What about the set? Setting. Also, so setting and passing on my left-hand side. Okay, it's quite funny because I thought of yesterday that we heard from Renko and Christoph that, and also from others that the spike is what people, the young kids, they're going in for the spike. They really want to spike it. They want to attack. They want to win. They want to cheer and all that stuff. It has to go not only above the net, but also has to, if they have a good spike, within the court, John, and not out in the backfield. Sorry about that. Yeah. But the problem is with the spike is, I've heard it before, is that the spike is badminton. It's tennis. It's a dunk in basketball, it's a racquetball. Well, that's the same as squash in the UK. So the spike as being the one that the kids want to come from doesn't really define our sport, because it's so, common to other sports as well. It's just an observation, it's just a comment. But then, of course, then we have a problem, because we actually, some of you said that the pass was the one that defined the sport. So we are defining our sport maybe from a defensive point of view. There's no doubt in my mind why we come 3rd or 4th or being the garbage board, because we define ourselves as being defensive. That's something for you to take home and think about for the next convention. And whenever you are, wherever you are, and that's it. Just a comment and observation. Okay, so we're about to finalize this stuff. I am really, really bad at saying goodbye because I like saying hello. But I can tell you one thing is that on my side, I've got 2 guys, and on the other side, I've got 2 other guys, and they need a huge round of big applause, and I would like them to stand up. Yeah, give it up for them, give it up for them, great. Oh, great. So now that we are standing, everybody sit down except staff. Except staff. I'm going to sit down. I'm not staff right now. So we need to give a big round of applause to the staff, all of them again. I sincerely hope that you have all achieved at least a couple of goals. One is to learn from these experts. I'm positive you have. There are takeaways from every conference, from every convent. Some of the stuff you can say, yes, this is new. Some of the stuff you can say, I know it already. But knowing it already means you're doing it right already. Hopefully. Unless they're doing it wrong, then you're doing it wrong as well. But they don't do anything wrong, so that's the way that happens. So there are takeaways, always, there has to be. There's also another takeaway, and I hope you achieved that as the day yesterday progressed, is you have learned new friends, you have talked to people you have never met before, you have struggled with the languages, and you went up to people and said something, and it was like, no, I don't understand you. It doesn't matter. You have tried. You have really dared doing something. And next year, someone might have to teach themselves another language if you want to get in contact with other people. Or bring an interpreter. I don't know. It's all legal, all that stuff. Or the year after that, I don't know. And I've said that we will try for a next convention. We have no idea when, and we have no idea about the content. We know the format, because I think personally this format has been good. It has been a success, seen from my point of view. So with that, it is thank you, safe travels, and remember, keep smiling and check out before 11. Of your rooms. So thank you all for coming, and hope to see you somewhere around in the volleyball world, mainly at the court. Unless we have some practical stuff from you guys that is important. I think the itineraries for people going to the airport is more or less okay. If not, it's too late. No, it's not. You can always go up at the desk where you came in, and you can see when you're being picked up. So thank you very much. It has been a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you.